Everybody started to take their health and fitness seriously. When are you gonna look in? Welcome back, Nation, to another weekly episode where we sit down with high performers to unpack how they are thriving in their field and what you can do to apply it to your own journey. Today, we're breaking down strength training, how to set the right goals, how progress actually happens, and how to train in a way that builds real strength and muscle over time. Today's guest is Chad Normandin,
There you go.
a PhD candidate in chemistry and someone who is extremely passionate about strength training. Chad has been on the pod 3 times now. If you have not had a chance to listen to the other 2 episodes, they are really good ones. I really recommend them. For the ones who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, again, my name is Chad. I'm a fifth-year PhD student. I study chemistry. I really like chemistry. I also really like powerlifting and going to the gym. It's something that I picked up a little late in my life, but I'm glad I'm keeping it up now, even during like the good and the bad, the COVIDs, the injuries. I think it's something that's going to stick with me, and there's so much more than just a physical aspect to it that I think keeps me sane. So it's a good outlet for, it's a good way to maintain everything level, if you will.
Absolutely. I saw your big squat recently. You sent it to me. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so it's been a little bit up and down. So I think I did mention to you a few years back, I signed up for a competition, which I did not end up doing because it was a bit too much with like first year of grad school. But I'm still training. I'm still kind of strength training, like probably 6 or 8 months out of the year. The rest I'm going to do a little bit more relaxed. But I think it's important to do cycles. But where I'm going is I've always strength trained, but I'm going to graduate this summer. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sign up for a competition because I'm like, I
Nice.
itch to get back to it.
Okay.
It's going to be a dad, but he's like, oh, I still want to sign up. So we're going to meet up and sign up. But yeah, I have not competed in about 5 or 6 years now, but I still do lift really heavy and I'm at the end of a training cycle right now.
What was your squat last week?
So last week, so this is like probably week 10 of 12, I did squat 435, which I probably had 2 more in the tank. Yeah, and I guess the numbers, if you want to go numbers, deadlift is 505 as of 2 days ago. So I did get a 5-pound PR. It's been a
Nice.
year and a half since I did 500. And bench is the big old golden 315, which Raul was there. He did spot me, so that was a great day. I got a witness. I can't lie.
So you're so close to be part of the 1,300 pound club.
Yeah, very much. I think that's the next goal. I don't really see it as a total. I see it as like, oh, I want to increase this or I want to increase that. And the more you do it, the harder it is to progress in all the 3 directions. Again, especially strictly powerlifting thing. It's like, oh, lifting your 3 numbers.
Yeah.
It's a little hard. So one's going to go a little faster than the other. Bench sucks right now because I'm injured in my forearm, so I can't really push that, but I'm pushing the others, right?
So right now, would you consider yourself being in a strength block?
Yo, sure, 100%. Yeah, it's a powerlifting. It's 95% powerlifting. It's a little bit of hypertrophy at the beginning, but you always need that. That's a foundation for sure.
A lot of people walk into the gym and they just start doing whatever everybody else is doing, or they just start going to machines. But training should really look like you're working towards a goal.
Yeah,
What can people do to define their goal?
I think at the beginning it's really hard to set up an actual goal. Some people are going to say, "Oh, I want to get stronger. I want to get jacked. I want to lose some fat. I want to gain some muscle." I think at the beginning it's all going in that direction. It's everything you're going to do. Like in the first 2 years, I tell everybody, whatever you're going to do is going to work. As long as you train hard, like if you don't break a sweat, you're not training hard enough. You're gonna train hard. You bring intensity, bring intention. I think that's 95% of the equation. If you do anything with intention and intensity, or just not, again, I don't want you to go scream at all, but bring intensity, bring intention. I think that's probably the biggest factor. And then whatever you're gonna get, you're gonna lose fat. You're gonna get muscle mass. You're gonna get better at training these movements. And again, if your goal is bodybuilding, if that's your jam, that's great. If you want to do Olympic weightlifting, if you want to do CrossFit, if you want to do powerlifting, powerlifting is my thing. It's a skill-based sport. So you need to, bigger legs don't necessarily mean bigger squat. It's a skill. So you got to practice over years and years and years and years. And that, I just said that to my friend this week. And it's like, oh man, I've been benching for 13 years. I still don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, I'm still jiggling. And again, injuries kind of happen.
Yeah.
But I'd probably say at the beginning, it's hard to define goals. Just bring intention and intensity, and the rest is going to follow. And you're going to see somebody, you're going to find you're going to get influenced by X, Y, Z. It's like, oh, I'm going to follow this. But the goals, I think it's really important to just keep doing, keep moving, whatever it is, whatever shape or form.
Yeah, I think it's important to start small baby step, baby bite. Just start doing something.
Yeah.
Right. But then once you're in it, I think it's important also to work towards a goal, right?
Yeah.
Because if you want to lose weight, is that really what you want, or you just want to look more lean, right? You want to be shredded, you want to shed fat,
Sure.
right? But not necessarily weight, right? So
It depends. Some people is like, okay, I'm weighing 300 pounds. I want to go down to 200, or I want to see a 1 or 199. It's like whatever they do, they're going to lose weight. They're going to be in calorie deficit. You can run and watch your calories. Resistance training once or twice a week. That's like the goal. Like muscle building is not always the end goal. But again, physical training comes out like in different forms and shapes for sure.
and how can they figure out if weight training or cardio, or how can they figure out that that's the correct good for them?
Try it out. See if you like it. I think if it sticks, if there's anything, it's like throwing stuff at the wall, see what sticks. Try a bunch of different things. I tried running, CrossFit. I tried rucking. I tried Olympic weightlifting. I tried it all, and it's like, oh, powerlifting is pretty cool. Again, I think the metric is measurable. You can say, oh man, I did that amount of pounds this week, and again, versus let's say if you really, really like working out just for working out, and the other aspect is like, okay, like outside of strength training was like CrossFit, weightlifting, powerlifting. It's like, okay, well, I want to look good. So you sign up for bodybuilding competition. That's probably, I think, that the two major outlets for people that really like the working out thing in the gym. But the bodybuilding, I think, it's very subjective how progress you make, right? And then you go in front of judges and they judge your appearance. It's very subjective versus powerlifting. It's like, hey, I put at that number, I've earned this. So that's how I see it. That's how I measure progress. That's how I find fulfillment in the sport.
If people figure out their goal or what they want to do, let's say my goal is to be stronger. So once people have a goal, how should they change the way they train according to that goal? So, for example, what's the difference between strength training and hypertrophy training?
So the bigger you're going to see in all the books, the hypertrophy, they're going to give you like a rep range, and the strength training is going to give you a rep range. So let's say, okay, we're going to do for 12 reps. You're going to lose lower weights. You got to get a bigger muscle burn. You're going to have more metabolic stress, if you will. You're going to have more physical tissue tear. That's muscle building progress, time under tension.
Right.
But if you want to get stronger, you want to lower the reps a little bit, bring the weights up. Again, it's like a skill space. It's the more stronger you want to get, the more you have to kind of go and say, oh, okay, it's a skill. And the more you practice. It's like, how do you get good at snowboarding or like piano? You practice. It's not necessarily about getting a physical stimulus. Like I can squat really heavy and I'm not sore anymore because it's like, your body adapts.
I think the difference here is you don't train the muscle, you don't train necessarily I'm going to do the chest or the push. You practice the movement,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
I like to think about it that way. How many days a week would be necessary, or how can they figure out what works best for them? And with that, how can they figure out the best split for them?
See, 3 days is too much for me. But if you want to optimize kind of the strength building event, the more practice, the better. You're going to hear people say, well, I bench 5 times a week, which is a little bit crazy to me. I have not gone there yet, but I've tried it. I was like, it's too much. Like you get injured third weekend. But you got to try, see if it works for yourself, for the frequency. And usually, let's say for your second part of the question, see what's best. What's
the split? Yeah.
What's the split? So that's a split is defined by how you're going to differentiate your training days. You can do upper body, lower body. You can do full body. You can do pulling exercise. You can do pushing exercise. You can do legs.
Right.
You can do back and biceps. You can specify certain muscles.
Right.
Figure it out, split it, try it for a few weeks, see if you can recover from the stress. Again, it's always recoverability. So ability to recover from this stress, and can you adapt from it? If you deadlift 5 times a week, you're just gonna fry yourself.
Yeah.
So I think a good base for trying out different things is doing it at least twice a week.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna deadlift Mondays and Thursdays, and I'm gonna bench Tuesdays and Fridays. If you can do that, 15 weeks, say, and then you're gonna see, okay, well, did I feel I left some juice in the tank, or I feel really exhausted, I'm injured everywhere? You adjust from this. Everybody starts at least between once or twice a week. I've always, like, my really kind of, when I used to have a coach, I'd squat once a week. And I'd go really intense. And then I had to have a stimulus, and I need a whole week to recover.
Right.
So again, if you want to do it twice a week, you got to split the load, the intensity by 2, because you
Okay.
can't really go balls to the wall twice a week. You got to give some reps, and you got to leave some energy for your second day. So medium intensity at least twice a week for every movement, everything you want to do. Let's say, okay, if I want to do push, or like your bicep, chest and shoulders, you know, that at least twice a week. See what it says. Can you recover from the stimulus? And you go on from there. Do a few weeks of this, a month or 2, at least 2 months. Let's say you write down a paper. Again, you have to have a plan. That's probably what I'm going to say a lot. Plan something, or ask a friend that knows what they're doing. It's like, oh, I want to get in the gym. What do I do? It's like, okay, I'll tell me your goals, and I'll write something down for you. Stick to it for a month or 2. Then we're going to figure out, was it enough? Did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if somebody has already decided, imagine that this person has never been into the gym, or maybe they've been like once or twice, but they were confused. They didn't really know what they were doing. But now they have a goal. They want to be bigger. They want to have bigger arms, right? Let's say that that's the goal.
Yeah.
Because that's very common, right? To see that you want bigger muscles. How do you actually make progress once you decided to go to the gym?
It's called progressive overload. So progressive overload means basically you want to add stimulus over time.
Can you break that down?
Progressive overload is a slow addition of stimulus. And again, if you're going to do 3 sets of 10 with 100 pounds for whatever movement, the simplest thing to do is like, oh, I'm going to do 105, and then 110, and then 115. The worst mistake you can do, and some people do that. They're going to go, it's like, oh, I've been working out for 5 years, and it's like, you don't really see any progress because they don't add weight. Again, it's fine for some people, but you're in there to make progress, to get better, to get stronger, to get healthier. You got to have some stimulus. And again, if you stay always in the same workout, it's like, oh man, I'm not breaking the sweat. I'm not putting intent. I'm not being physical. I'm not being active with it. But yeah, slowly adding reps, slowly adding weight, slowly adding sets.
Okay.
These are the 3, you can count your rest time. I don't really do that, but these are the 3. If you want to make progress, go a little heavier. That's the number 1.
Okay.
And then you add reps, and then you add sets.
You remember Smolov, my squat program?
Yeah.
That's a very progressive overload driven program.
Yeah, but you start like here.
Well, it was actually, it was really good, but it was too much volume.
Yeah.
So now my next question is, how do volume, frequency, and intensity work together, and why they're so important?
Okay, so I'm going to start with your first variable, volume. There's such a thing called maximal recoverable volume. So your body, your age, how you eat, how you sleep, your genetics, how well you recover. There's a plethora of things that go into this kind of bag of recovery. So if you do too much, again, if you do small love is 4 times a week, I think, 6 sets of 4, 4 sets of 6, 8 sets of 3, whatever, which is insane.
Yeah.
If your body can tolerate it, a lot of people can tolerate a lot of volume, and women can recover more from stimulus.
Really?
Women have a better maximal recoverable volume than men. So something that usually is, let's say I'm not a strength coach, but I know that's a thing. It's like if you're a strength coach, you're going to give more volume to a woman because she can recover more, but you're going to have usually lighter load. That's a little better programming.
Right.
So you have to kind of see, again, by testing the waters and dipping your toe in the waters, like, oh, how much is too much? Again, by going on an 8 to 12 week program, you do X amount of sets per week, and you increase, and then you increase over time, and just say, okay, was that too much? Did I injure myself? Do I feel motivated? If you go over that threshold of maximal recoverable volume, which is the amount of exercise you do over time, how tired do you feel? Do you always feel tired, lethargic? Do you always feel, I don't want to be there? I'm exhausted. I'm injured. If you do that, and I still go, I'm hardcore. I'm going to keep going. You have to be smart about it and probably dial it down, because everybody in the room here is different. Everybody is listening is different. So you have to try it for yourself. There's not one magic program for everybody. That's why I say try it out. See if you like it. See if it's good for you.
And now, how is volume measured by? Number of sets, number of, because I've heard that is number of sets times the reps times the weight.
Sure. Max volume is defined by the amount of overall time under tension, if you will. So what you just told me, sets, reps, weight, that's tonnage. That's the sets times the reps times the weight.
Right.
But tonnage does not take into account recovery time. You can increase volume by, let's say you do a heavy set to squat and you take 5 minutes to recover. If you want to double your volume, you cut your recovery time in half. So now you only take 2 minutes to recover instead of 5. So your volume over time, the concentration of amount of weight is cut in half. So you've doubled your volume.
So that's where frequency comes in.
Sure. Yeah. Frequency is, again, like what I said at the beginning, is king in terms of, if you want to try things, you want to make progress. But again, you have to, if you're going to do it more often, you have to dial down the intensity and the amount of reps and weight and that you do every day. If I want to go from benching twice a week to 4 times a week, your 4 sessions cannot be at the same weight and intensity, because you're just going to enjoy yourself. Because max.
That's intensity.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you measure intensity?
So intensity is generally measured, or we define this by the weight that you use. So if I am going to say, I'm going to go back to our initial conversation about powerlifting,
Okay.
because that's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Intensity is defined by the amount of weight or the percentage of max that you're going to use.
Your
So-
RP.
Yeah. So RPE goes into well, I guess we're going to touch on this.
Yeah.
But usually you're going to split a powerlifting program in 2 distinct phases. Let's say you're a very novice, right? So the biggest factor in lifting weights is muscle, right? Bigger the muscle, the more weight you can hoist.
Right.
So second one is adaptability, skill, and that goes into central nervous system recruitment. So usually you're going to have a first phase. It's called accumulation. So you're going to build up volume. And what does that do? Again, over time, what do? You accumulate stress and your body adapts to it. It kind of takes it in slowly. That's why I say if you do just barely enough to be maximal recoverable volume, you're going to take all this volume in. You're going to have adaptations. You're going to have bigger muscle. You're going to slowly build the skill. And then you're going to have something called usually intensification. So intensification means now you're starting to ramp up the weights and lowering the reps and learning to build that skill, whatever it is for you. Like some people like to strength train, but they don't want to do 1 rep maxes. Right. They do 5 reps. That's still training.
Right.
You're going to slowly build up to a high, heavy, really heavy set of 5. So accumulation, it's building volume. Again, it's more into the physical adaptations, which is like muscle hypertrophy, like metabolic stress. If you want to build muscle, you have to stretch the muscle fibers.
Okay. So you already mentioned that, but how does range of motion form?
Yeah.
Right. So you form mind-muscle connection, and you also mentioned this time under tension.
Yeah.
We have all of these different buzzwords that we hear at the gym, and if you've never been to the gym and you start like listening to all of this, you're gonna be like, "What?"
Yeah.
So let's break it down. What is time under tension? What is it? If you're there at the gym, how can you measure time under tension?
It's having the weight on your back or the muscle actually pulling,
Tensed.
being tensed under your physical stimulus.
So if you are doing some bicep curls,
Yeah.
and then is your muscle under under tension when
Yeah.
it's at the bottom?
Yeah.
When it's relaxed?
It's again, when it's tensed at the bottom, there's like a concentric and eccentric phase. So if you go down, it's the eccentric. You lengthen the muscle and then you bring it back up. You shorten it again. That's the concentric.
Concentric.
Yeah.
And
Eccentric
yeah,
is when
I
you
guess so.
lengthen the muscle. Concentric is when you concentrate to bring it back up.
Concentrate.
Well, same thing with like the squat,
Yeah.
right? Your eccentric is going to be what's going to go down, because you're lengthening the muscle. Concentric is up. If you want real timer detention, muscle is going to suffer more tearing if you slow that down a little bit. So if more timer detention means you're going slower through both of the range of motion. We call this tempo. There's 4 events.
I was just gonna bring that up.
So there's 4 events, right? There's
Yeah.
the eccentric, there's the time at the bottom, there's concentric, and there's time at the top.
So a tempo of 4010.
Yeah. So
Hold that
4-0 would be 4 seconds on the way down,
Right.
0 seconds at the bottom, up really fast, 1 second. So 4-0-1-0. Yeah.
And with tempo, you can increase your time under tension.
Yeah, exactly. You can. I can program depending on what you want. Again, let's say if you want to squat really heavy, you're not always going to do like very slow concentric or slow eccentric. Your goal is to be explosive at the bottom.
Right.
You can program tempo squats for more hypertrophy, more time under tension, and it's still a very specific skill.
Right. Now, once somebody understands the fundamentals of strength training, so now they know what's progressive overload.
Yeah.
They know that they need to ramp up the weights little by little.
Yeah.
They know how many days a week they gotta do it.
Yeah.
They know how much volume they have, how much volume they need or they can recover from.
Yeah.
Right. There's lots of advanced training tools
Techniques.
like RPE.
Yeah.
What is RPE?
Okay, RP stands for rate of perceived exertion. So it's individual to everybody else. Everybody, you and me, and everybody else in this room is going to have a different perception of what is a 10 out of 10 effort. Just like when you go to the nurse and she said, oh, how much pain is that on a scale of 10? It's all very individual. So basically, RP stands for just how hard is the exercise on a scale of 1 to 10. If you do hypertrophy, it's going to be very subjective. You know, if you're going to do like 1,000,000 reps, it's going to really, you can correlate with the speed of the rep that you're going to do. Okay. So you call this LSRP, so last set RP or last rep RP.
Okay.
So the rate of perceived exertion up in the very last repetition.
Mm-hmm.
So if it takes you 4 seconds to get that curl up at the maximal effort on your last rep, that's a 10 out of 10. So in general terms, that's what RP is.
Mm-hmm.
When you go into strength training now, it's a little bit less ambiguous because RP is correlated to the amount of reps you can do.
RIR.
Yes, it's correlated to RIR, means reps in reserve. So if you have 0 reps in reserves, that means you could not, if your life was on the line, you could not have done 1 more rep. That's what I like to say.
Right.
I kind of go under the bars, like, okay, if I had saved my life, could I have done 1 more? And if I say yes, well, okay, if I had 1 more, I have 1 reps in reserve, that means it's a 9 out of 10 RPE. 10 out of 10 my RP means it's like I could not have done anything else.
With good form.
With good form.
Yeah. What about failure sets? What do you think of training to failure? So, and what does failure even mean?
Failure kind of stands for I can't do 1 more. I'm absolutely smoked and I cannot do 1 more. Or the last rep takes 5 seconds to get up. So that means you've achieved failure. So this has its good and bad. You want to do them sometimes, but for very specific exercises. You don't want to do them. They're really costly though, in terms of taxing your body, especially for compounds. If you're going to do 4 sets of 10 on deadlifts, that like absolute failure, you're probably going to be smoked for the next 2 weeks. But if you do curls to failure, it's going to take you 2 days.
Yeah.
Right. So they have their place, but I think the scientific literature says this, it's not really worth your penny to go to failure. Keep some energy. You're going to recover faster for the next session. Then you can do more. Mm-hmm. So there's a balance to be had. Sometimes you want to go there, but not too often. If you want to go, again, balls to the wall, free to you. If you're doing hypertrophy and it's your last set or your last week, then you deload, fine, sure. Go crazy.
Have you heard about myosets?
Oh, yeah, myosets. Yeah, I did hear about it. Yeah, it's like when you finish your set, then you wait 3 seconds and you bang out as much as you can.
So the way I think about it, is the baby reps. So for example, let's say that you're doing hamstring curls.
Okay,
Let's do hamstring curls. So you're on the hamstring curl machine, and then you are doing, you have perfect range of motion, you can bring it down from all the way at the bottom, all the way at the top.
Yeah.
But then the next rep, you're only able to like bring it to like 95%.
Yeah.
And then you bring it down, and then you bring it back up to 89.
Yeah.
And then all the way that you can, and then go back down, and then those baby reps.
Yeah.
I like to think about it that way for my assets. What do you think of them?
It's like the concept of like lengthened partials. It's something that people have been doing more and more because it's super popular on social media.
And it's fun.
It's yes, I guess it's strenuous, but that's going beyond failure. If you can do one more repetition with good form, now you have to break down the form to get more stimulus. But then you've gone beyond your threshold, right? So let's say if I can't do curls strictly, I'm at 10 out of 10 effort, I might swing a little bit just to get more. But again, is that wise in the long term? It's like I think I'd rather keep my energy for next session in 2 days. I'm going to do the same exercise. I'll be less exhausted. And I think the return for my investment to, again, something that's really hard also when you're training is like holding back. That's something I hope we can touch on. But you have to be patient. You have to say, oh, I could max out, I could get a PR today. So being patient is really important in that aspect. Right. So that's why if you want to go again, if you with your boys on a Saturday night doing curls before going out, yeah, fine, dude. Just bang out these
crazy sets.
Yeah, these ugly sets just to get a bigger pump. Right. Sure. But if you want to be smart about it in the bigger, broader context, as like for the compound movements, I probably wouldn't. I would probably really be smart about it.
Interesting.
There's more ways to bring more hypertrophy and the stimulus that you want and the reward for your efforts than like broken down sets, lengthened partials.
Lengthened partials. Is that what I described?
Yeah, exactly. Let's say if you do the hamstring curls and you can't do 100% of the reps, then you're just going to bang out reps that go up only 50% of the range of motion.
Can you guys like touch on nutrition maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you listen to Aiden's episode? It was all about nutrition.
Oh,
and recently, like it was this week's episode, it was about the episode was called The Quiet Truth of Getting Better 1% Every Day.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
And we talked about dieting, micro-healthy dieting, protein intake, where to track it, what's, like the common mistakes while dieting, all of these things.
Do you track your macros?
I do.
Yeah? Have you been tracking for a long time?
Well, seriously, for like 4 years.
Okay, wow. That's every day?
Every day.
Everything?
Everything.
Wow.
Even
That's
beer.
commitment. That's commitment.
Well, you say that because I think for me it's now automatic.
Yeah.
It's a habit.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you track this and I have an app that makes it extremely easy to do. It's macro factor.
Yeah. I did hear about it.
Yeah, it's extremely easy. For example, right now that it knows that at 4 p.m. I usually take my protein shake, it already tracks it.
Really?
Yeah, it suggests it, and then you just add it.
I go to Dairy Queens a bit too much for this.
Well, no, and you know what? It's perfectly fine. I track everything. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to have 2 shots of whiskey or whatever it is.
Really? You put your whiskey in there?
Well, because it's very high in calorie.
Yeah.
But like my beer and like everything, I try to...
Really?
Because it doesn't work, like I don't need it to be perfect. I just need to give the software...
To give a guesstimate.
I need to give the algorithm an estimate of what's my intake.
Sure.
Right? Because what it does is that it adjusts your calorie intake every week according to how much you've tracked. Yeah. And then it works with your weight trend.
Okay, really?
Yeah. So it's a moving average of your weight. And if you tracked 2,200 calories every single day of the week, but you moved up on the scale maybe like a little bit,
it's going to bring that down.
It's going to give you, it's going to almost not change it if it's a little bit. But now if like skyrocketed, then it's going to change a little bit.
Sure.
And it's going to take a few weeks until it gets good. So the first few weeks on this block that I'm doing, it wasn't as good. I was almost maintaining.
Okay.
But now once it found out my actual BMR, based on metabolic rate, once it actually found how many calories I'm burning in average per week, you can start seeing like...
That's really good.
And it works amazingly because I didn't even need to use a calculator to calculate my calorie intake because all of those are wrong. that thing says that I need to be eating 3,300 calories per day, which is
How much you weigh?
220. Well, at the beginning,
3,300 for an active man. That's 220. That seems reasonable.
yeah, yeah. So you would think, right? But
Yeah.
I have a slow metabolism.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
and I work out a lot.
Yeah, sure. I know. It's like I know you're very physically active.
And like you say, you see all of these things, but at the end of the day, if I eat over 2,300 calories, I gain weight.
Really?
Yeah, so I think that's why microfactor is good.
That's crazy.
I'm honestly fine though. I'm like
Yeah.
satisfied, and once you eat the same amount of calories every day, your body gets used to it.
Yeah.
If you eat 400 calories more, you're gonna feel it.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel heavy.
I'll tell you what, I've always been more about intuitive eating. I think I ate more as I got hungry. Never really care. I think I tried to track my things for 2 weeks and I just crashed out. I eat intuitively in the ratios of like everything. It kind of self-adjusts. I kind of know what to eat. I just go intuitively. I'm not going to eat like a crap ton of carbs and then a crap ton of like veggies only.
Right.
It just goes there. And as you're physically active, your body kind of adapts.
Yeah.
And of course, you can manipulate that with macros. And it's like, okay, I want to be in a calorie deficit or not. But for me, it's like I thought it was really hard to just track like you do. I'll just eat intuitively, and it works fine with me.
And here's the thing: I don't diet. I eat whatever I want.
Yeah,
But I track everything.
yeah,
So right now, it's not like, oh, I want 40% of my intake to be protein. I would like it to be, but right now, it's like the average is like I'm like at 25.
okay. Well, it can tell you where it is because you track, but you don't diet.
Exactly.
Oh.
I like got like you should have seen me this weekend.
That's super interesting.
So I don't diet. I just because I stopped for a little bit like a few months ago, and
Sure.
I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start little by little because if not, I'm gonna just quit.
Yeah,
So first step is just track everything, eat whatever you want,
yeah,
and then after that, I'm like, okay, just stay under the calorie intake.
yep.
And now I'm slowly trying to intake my protein, little by little.
There's
right?
something
So-
you can do is also just track the protein you get. Some people track their whole everything, and some
Yeah.
people just track, oh, you pound protein and I get. It's like, okay, well, 1 gram per pound a day,
Yeah.
ideally.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to track it. For me though, it's like okay, and I just need to do the math and whatever. I'm like, I think I'm like guessing I had like 180 grams of protein per day.
Yeah.
And you look at the tracker,
You're off
and then you're like, interesting,
110.
86. So,
Sounds about right.
So it's like I feel like you kind of lie to yourself, being like, oh, "No, I think I've eaten under my calories." When in reality, oh, I forgot that olive oil,
Yeah.
2 tablespoons that I used. That's 300 calories.
Yeah.
God damn. So you know what I mean? So I think it just helps you to figure out if you're lying to yourself or not.
Yeah.
That's just for
That's
me though.
good. Yeah, get a baseline, and then after a few months in, you decide what you want to do with it. But it's good
Yeah.
to have a baseline. Yeah, I was like, I don't have the patience to do that. I like my Dairy Queen's ice cream a bit too much.
Going back to strength training.
Yeah,
I-
let's
I
go
like
back.
It. I like it too though. It has a treat.
I know. I got that one. I got one last night, dude. It was so good.
Get a Ninja Creamy.
Ninja Creamy.
Yeah.
I get the Oreo. It's fine.
Because I have the Ninja Creamy, and what it's great. It's just you do a protein shake as a base.
Oh, is that a thing you do at home?
Yeah,
Ninja Creamy?
yeah.
Really?
I can't believe you don't have this. Anyways, going back to strength training. How do experienced lifters push their intensity while not getting injured?
Great question. I think it takes a lot of experience and knowledge, and also of yourself and your limits and how you like to act and perform. Over time, you're gonna see what you like. Do you want to do 4 times a week like a Smolov, like you? I'm a very low frequency guy. Like I can squat once a week and still have adaptations and still make progress. But again, when you kind of stall, it's like, okay, I'm gonna add like a half squat, like 1.5 squats a week. So you're gonna do like high bar or front squats just for a few reps, just to get some added stimulus. I think it takes a lot of knowing yourself. I think the biggest tell that's gonna tell you how much, when you can add, or what you can do better is to have external supervision, i.e. a coach. The best thing is to have, again, in the sport of powerlifting, is to have a coach and have worked with them for a very long time. They know you. They're going to know the underlying, they're going to know you a bit better than you know yourself. And I've had the opportunity to do that for a little bit. And my coach knew me a little bit better than I do. It's like, you can program, he can give you what you need, but you don't want to do. It's like, oh, I don't want to do my Bulgarian split squats. They suck. but they're really good for you, right? Because you
Yeah.
have a lower posterior change weakness,
Yeah.
and that helps. Over time, you're gonna get to know what works for you. You're a high frequency guy, you're a low frequency guy. It was like if you do it 4 times a week, some people can do it 4 times a week and not get injured. It's like great, dude. But for me personally, I have low frequency, so I'll do everything a little heavy, very not very frequently, and it works for me.
I've learned my lesson. Listen, I think I flipped
Yeah.
the whole script. Now instead of going
You went full circle.
instead of going 6 times a week, and then I turn it out to 5.
Yeah, dude, it's like I've turned it out to 3, maybe 4. I've turned it out to 4, and I used to be like 4 times a week, hardcore. Like I just get injured.
I'm all the way down to 2.
Yeah.
I go twice a week. However, because I'm lowering the frequency, I try to increase volume and
Of course,
and
absolutely.
intensity.
You can do 2 full times, full body into like a 2-hour workout to everything. It's like, of course, 100%. You can still make progress.
Yeah.
It's not optimal, but if you tell me you run and you're in the calorie deficit, you gotta pick your battles.
Yeah.
Right. So you gotta pick where you want to put your energy. You can't get leaner, stronger, and get your 8 hours in all at the same time. It's hard. It's physically palpable. It's body composition is a thing.
Yeah.
But that's just for the physicality of it. If you're trying to like maintain like very heavy weights, it's really hard to push everything,
Yeah.
every front at once.
Strength training. Do you have anything else to teach the audience?
Yes, I think it's a beautiful way to know about yourself, to tame the good and the bad. I think it's very good for mental health. And again, anything physical training it's good for your health. I think it's and physical resistance training is a long-term investment. You do it short-term because you want to push yourself, you want to get better, you want to get stronger, you want to get leaner, you want to feel good about yourself. But it's a very good investment for yourself in the long term. Bone density, muscle retention, physical activity over time. If you keep that up, your life expectancy shoots up 5 to 10 years easily. And I'm not just pulling that out of my ass. It's a fact. Just again, just bone density for older people. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Osteoporosis is a big thing. And if you do that and you invest in yourself really early, you'll be able to, again, reap the rewards when you're older. You'll be able to walk longer. You'll be able to go and walk and like go activity with your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, hopefully. First of all, if you take a step back, it's a long-term investment. If you do it in a healthy way, don't go into the steroids and the SARMs. And I know it's the short-term, it gets to people's heads. And sometimes, I really want to get jacked. I'm 25 years old. I'm in my prime. You just have to weigh them and see if you want to pay that cost, pay the price. We're primates. We're made to run and chase after foods. And now everybody's on their phone or in front of a computer 8 hours a day. So, get out there, physical, use the machinery that evolution has given you, because there's a reward behind it. Everything you do has a prize after. So we tend to neglect that part of ourselves. But you have to, if you tap back into it, you'll be able to say, hey, I have the machinery. I can run. It makes me feel good. It doesn't just suck because I have to run. That's why we do it, right? Because it makes us feel good.
I want to say a quote that I read the other day that I think it goes well with what you're saying. It's by Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to make a decision and stick with it than the decision itself.
Yeah.
So whether it's hypertrophy, whether it's weight training, weightlifting, strength training, and I think what matters is that you stick with it and you think long term.
Yeah. There's not a single time that I went and I touched some weights or I did physical activity. Then when I was done after, I was like, man, that sucked. I always felt better after. If you feel good, if you have a good day, your day's a little better. Right. If you have a bad day, it brings it up. It's like, oh, it's not too bad. It brings everything back into perspective. And the endorphins you get from it is good enough. It's worth the effort and the suffering and the temporary pain.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now let's talk about habits.
Yeah.
What's a ritual that makes your training easier?
I would say anticipation and planning. You've probably heard of the adage, fail to plan, plan to fail.
Fail to plan, plan to fail. Can you break that down?
Yeah. So if you fail to plan, if you don't plan whatever you're going to do, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Okay.
So I think the ritual, and I fall short sometimes, Raul. I fall short sometimes. Sometimes I'll do it through like a 6-8 month powerlifting cycle, and I was like, okay, I'm mentally exhausted. And for 4 months, I'm not going to do everything. I think it's important to switch to something we have not touched today. Switch your training style
Yeah.
sometimes, because it's really hard to do the same thing, to eat the same dinner for 10 years in a row. Switch it up, dude. If you don't have the expertise of a friend, and something I really want to touch on that I think I came to my mind and I didn't talk about was the importance of mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody showing you how to do things, when to do things. I think I've done that a little bit with you,
Yeah.
but I've had friends when I was a newbie, a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
I had friends, Justin and Benjamin.
Yeah.
If you hear me, hello.
I think you say hello to them on the last episode.
Oh yeah. They've shown me how to train, and now I can actually do it for myself. I can teach the others. The importance of mentorship and having actually somebody that knows what they're doing to ask questions and to answer them, it's really important.
Yeah.
That and having people around you in the community. Again, going to a CrossFit gym, again, that's the prime example. Everybody's kind of together and everybody shows it. Then you learn how to do it for yourself, and then you do it for long enough, and then you can actually teach and show the others. Yeah.
I agree. My high school friends were the ones who got me into it, and those friends, those people, the accountability partner. I think it's very important to have somebody that will come with you to the gym. If maybe somebody that even hasn't been to the gym yet, but somebody that can go with you, can give you the confidence that's needed to go from level 1 to level 2.
Yeah, there's the hardest part usually is start because you're intimidated. I recently had helped somebody get into the gym recently. He's like, I was all intimidated. He's like, oh, I don't want to get too big. He's like, no, you're not. Unless you work out like a maniac for a few years, like you're not going to touch a weight and blow up like a balloon. It's going to take a lot of intent. But it's like, oh, where do I start? It's like, oh, yeah, has somebody asked me, and then I'll show you how to do it.
And you have to like work hard for it to be like.
I know.
For it to like get big. You need to be on a surplus. You need to be getting like lots of like stimulus, and mostly I've heard this from females that they're like, okay, strength training is gonna make me big.
Oh yeah.
My sister included, if she's listening to this, she's like, oh, I don't want to do strength training because I don't want to look like a man. And it's just like
unless you do it for years on end, which is like over, you really need to. You're not going to turn up like Arnold Schwarzenegger overnight. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I wish,
I wish.
I wish that's how it worked.
Yeah. Okay. You probably know this question already. If you can place a billboard in every corner around the world, and you can place a quote or a phrase on the billboard to slowly change people's mindsets.
That's a great. I love hearing that question because I always come unprepared, and I always say everything that's come on top of my mind. Go lift weights.
Go lift.
Go lift weights. Go lift weights. Go lift weights.
That's awesome.
Go lift weights.
So now, a fun fact for the week.
Yeah.
From the book Bigger, Leaner, Stronger. Why a calorie surplus is essential for muscle growth. When you restrict calories for fat loss, muscle growth slows down due to lower muscle protein synthesis, worsened hormone levels, and decreased workout performance. Unless you're new to resistance training, which allows you to have some muscle gain despite the deficit. To build more muscle effectively, avoid a consistent calorie deficit. Instead, aim for a slight calorie surplus, eating more energy than you burn, to fuel muscle repair and growth.
Beautiful. Anabolism.
Anabolism.
We love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here today. It has been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much, Raul.
What is your takeaway for students?
Go lift weights. Be physically active. It's really important. You can say, oh, I'm busy. I haven't gone to the gym in 3 weeks. No, you got time. You got time to do 45 minutes run on a cardio. It's a good habit to have. And I cannot advocate for it enough in terms of everything health related.
100% agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode, Nation. If you got value from this, share it with someone who needs to hear it, or post it on your story to help us reach more people. We are here to bring systems, stories, and strategies that will actually work for life. Follow us on socials, leave a review, and we'll see you next week.